Is watching. I don't know who else is watching, but my mother who watches every week, and Shana Batsheva, and Yael, and Zahava, and everybody else. Shalom Aleichem to you. And we're going to continue, Be'ezrat Hashem, Likutey Moharan, in lesson 62, Samech Bet, which we're slowly working our way through, Be'ezrat Hashem. It's getting a little deeper, a little more complicated, but I think I can keep it together and explain it in a logical way so that it'll have purpose and meaning for us. Be'ezrat Hashem. Up. 1 second, somebody's at the door. Sit wherever you like. That's the best for you?
Find out.
Okay. Sorry to whoever's online. No, it's not Eliyahu, it's Koach. Okay, so I was saying we're learning from lesson 62 in the Likutey Moharan. And so, just a quick overview. He talks about eating b'kedusha, eating in a holy way, and how eating can create a unification between the Shekhinah and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But in order to do that, you have to have a high level of emunah. And do you want something to drink? You want some water? And how do we reach that level of emunah? We have two tikkunim, two things that need to be fixed. The first is knowing how to answer the apikors, the heretic outside of us and the heretic within us. And the second is adding what he calls kishutei amunah, which are beautifications or additions of faith. And that's what we're learning about now And what he says is that we basically have to suck the energy we have to suck the source from the negative energy so that it can't draw its sustenance from the holy energy. And he says the way we do that is through speech. And that our speech can cause the world to change, in a sense, the balance of the world to change, to bring eventually the non-Jews to belief in the unity of Hashem. Because right now the non-Jewish nations are surviving or thriving on drawing their sustenance from the Kedusha, from the holiness of the Jewish people. But when from the basically the transgressions that we do, the lack of unity that we do, so we just had a general strike here. Just had a general strike here, which I wrote a little tiny piece in the Times of Israel that some people read. It was totally out of control. I mean, 6 Jews are murdered, so the head of the labor union decides to shut down the country. And stuff like that is what causes this negative energy to go out into the world. That gives the non-Jewish nations their sustenance, and when we reconnect to holiness, we don't do stuff like that. We don't cause that type of negative energy to go out from the potential of holiness. There's a light sensor there. That's what's going off. And so then we won't give them that power and they won't be able to use it. I could give you lots of examples. There was the example of the prosecutor for the army that claimed that there were 10 soldiers that abused one of the terrorists. And so the whole world is in an uproar. The Jews are abusing the terrorists, and they're not letting the Red Cross see the terrorists. All these things, when they come out into the world, and we can look at it just in a practical way. Does it serve us in a positive way, or does it serve us in a negative way? And when we're focused on emunah and mitzvot and being unified as the Jewish people, we send off a different message to the world, and that message affects the world. So that's basically what he's saying. Oh, here, I need to turn the air conditioner up for myself. It's being too polite. There we go. Crank it up. Sorry, still get hot from... No, it's quite pleasant outside, but still I need this on me. Okay, so that's where we left off. And now we're continuing. And because in this section, Rabbi Nachman spends a lot of time going into text proofs and gematria proofs and all kinds of things to make his point, I'm going to skip over little parts of it, but Bezat Hashem, I made notes for myself, and if I follow my notes, it'll make sense. Yiva'er she'al yedei achila b'kedusha na'aseh yichud panim b'panim. So he's going to explain that when we eat in a holy way, when we eat having worked on ourselves, then we create this unification of Hashem face to face. That's like the high level, that we create it face to face. We're okay there? We're okay. Okay. Ve'ilu achila b'ta'ava. But if a person is eating from a place of desire, shehi motarot, which is something that's unnecessary, that's additional and unnecessary, mechayet klipot, you're giving sustenance to the negative energy, v'lachen atikun hu ta'anit. And so the fixing for this is to fast. So what is achila b'ta'ava? What is eating with desire or for pleasurable reasons? So first of all, anything that you eat that's not kosher, and you know that's not kosher, that you're not supposed to be doing. But here he's even talking about what is kosher. So let's say a person knows that eating chocolate and sugar is not good for them, and they eat a little bit, but then they eat more and more and more and more. That more and more and more and more is eating in from a taiva, from a desire. It's not eating because you need it. So a person can say, I need a little piece of chocolate, no problem. But when you eat like half a bag of chocolate, you eat 5 bars of chocolate, you're not eating just because you need to eat. And that eating is actually giving energy to the negative energy in the world, which is affecting the balance of energy in the world. V'chol ta'avot em ta'avot achila v'hem shar ta'avot, all of the desires, whether the desires for eating or all the different desires, hem b'chinat klipot, they're all connected to the negative energy. Ki ha-ta'avot kagon achilat hamatok v'ha'erev v'shar tifanukim. I'm guessing that's how you say it. For example, eating sweet things or eating late at night or the other types of things that you pamper yourself with or do things that you shouldn't be doing, in order to fill a person's desires, these are unnecessary additional things. They're not needed for living. They're just for fun and too much fun. Ki gam below hata'avot yichol haguf litkayem, because if you didn't eat chocolate or sugar for the rest of your life, your body would survive. It would be able to exist. Nimtza shehem mutarot lekiyum haguf. And so it follows that these foods are unnecessary and for keeping the body alive. Kamo klipot shehem mutarot apri, just like a husk or the peel of a fruit is not what you eat normally, like the peel of an orange, for example. We don't normally eat the peel, we eat the fruit within it. Ki ikar eino ela apri, because the main thing is the fruit. V'aklipot hemotarot she nizrakim. And the klipa, the negative energy, is an additional thing that we throw away. It's more comfortable. You can put 2 chairs, stack them if that's better for you. When the desires overcome a person, when the desires overcome a person, so a person says, I'm not going to eat chocolate, or I'm not going to spend so much time watching Netflix, or whatever it is, the ta'avot that people have. When they overcome a person, this is the overcoming of the negative energy of the sitra achra over kedusha. So this is the expression of it. This is how it happens. Person says, I'm not going to eat chocolate, and then they eat not only chocolate. You want to see where we are? Mm-hmm. They eat tons of chocolate. That's an expression of the negative energy overcoming the holy energy. Okay, I'll show you where we are, but I'm going to be moving quickly through it. Let's see. Nope. Okay, we're going to be in this general area. Okay. כי פירוש, הסימן לאדם שהסטרה אחת והקליפות מנסים לצוד אותו ברשתם, the sign that the negative energy is trying to trap a person within its domain, הוא כשרואה שליבו נמשך אחר תאוות ומותרות. That's when a person knows that they're drawn to something that they shouldn't be doing. A desire that they shouldn't be doing, and everybody knows that, myself included. וראשי תיבות של heter, שהם תאוות האכילה והשתייה, הם שלושה שרי פרעה. The 3, so he says, we have here heter, which is permitted, and the 3 ראשי תיבות, ראשי התאוות, the 3 heads of desires that are permitted are the desires of eating and drinking. And they are the 3 ministers of the 3, what were they called? Pharaoh's officers. Sarah Mashkim, what did they call it? The chief, the drink, huh?
Cupbearer.
The cupbearer? Okay, the guy who served the alcohol. Yeah. And that's connected to the kaneh. The kaneh is the Tzinor Neshima, is where you breathe from. What is that, your esophagus? Or I don't remember the words. V'darko nichnasim leyichud haguf, lechut haguf. And that's where the moisture of the body comes in. Uveshet tzinu achila. Veshet is where the food goes in. And vridim, which are veins, which bring the blood from the heart to the head and all around the body. And that's connected to Sar Tabachim. So, what was the other one connected to? Keneged Sar HaMashkim. No, Sar HaMashkim is the guy that's in charge of the alcohol. And then we have the baker. Okay, so this is connected to the three desires. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, the three ministers or officers or the people that were in charge of these three things for the Pharaoh, is because we're going to come back to that at the end. Shekol ha'ta'avot nimshachim. All of the desires are drawn achareihem, after them. כי המאכל והמשתה מחיה ומקיים את אברי האדם ודמו, ולכן על ידי תאוות אכילה ושתייה איבריו ודמו נמשכים גם לשאר התאוות. So we need all these things for sustaining our body. We need the eating and the drinking and sustaining our body. And so that's, in a sense, how the negative energy traps us. It's not like if I were to say, do you have a desire to do a high rope walk over there was a guy who did it between the World Trade Towers. Mm-hmm. You have a desire to do that? I don't have any desire to do that. So the Yetzer Hara is not going to trap me with that. But if I say, I have a desire for more chocolate. I ate chocolate, I want more chocolate. Then that's where he traps you, because it's something you're naturally going to do. Or whatever it is. I watched one movie, I want to watch 3 more movies. I did this, whatever negative thing it is, but it's something that you're naturally going to do, and that's how it's going to trap you. So it says that these desires are following a natural desire, and within that place, the evil energy, the negative energy, is trapping you. B'pchinat achar hadvrim ki hem smuchim. Okay, so this is where I'm going to skip it. The desires come from behind, not from the front. So the unification comes from the front. When we worked on our emunah, when we worked on how to answer the upper course, and we eat from a place of emunah, we're creating a new unification between us, Hashem, and the Shekhinah, which is Hashem's presence in this world. But when we fall to a desire, and the negative energy comes and causes us to do more negative things that we didn't want to do to start with, then we're creating a connection from behind. Before we're creating a connection panim and panim in the front, and afterwards and if we follow desires, we're creating a connection from behind, which he calls achor ba'achor. Behind, connected to the behind. Okay, so let's just we'll go straight through this. So, when we have these 3 types of desires, ta'avot achila, the desire for eating, shem klipot, ki ha'ta'ava hi b'chinat mutarot, mitgabrim al ha'adam, nafal ta'avat achila. So we have the desire, everyone needs to eat in order to live, but sometimes we have desires to eat things that we shouldn't eat, and then we eat beyond what we shouldn't eat in an unhealthy way. And that's what causes the person to fall into that trap. Tzarich lahadbik ulastir achorei hakdusha, lasot yichud achor ba'achor shelo yinku. So we have to create. So basically, the negative energy is coming now in a roundabout way. It's not going to come face to face, right? If the negative energy came and said, "Do a flat-out transgression," here's a piece of bacon, eat it. You're going to say, no, of course I'm not going to eat it because I'm a kosher Jew. But how does it trap you? It says, you ate 1 piece of chocolate, now eat 50 pieces of chocolate. And by the time you get to that 50th piece of chocolate, if you're still standing, you're feeling pretty bad about yourself. And you realize that you fell into this trap. That's what he calls achor ba'achor. Behind, the connection of behind and behind. And how do you break that connection? You break it through fasting, which is what he's going to talk about in a little bit. Meaning that here I have this desire for eating something that I shouldn't eat, or drinking something that I shouldn't drink. And how do you break it? by not eating at all, or not eating the thing at all. So a person could say, okay, I'm going to cut out all sugar or all chocolate. That is in a sense a type of fast. Okay, so I want to skip this section here. V'ken ata'anit shehu ikar achna'atam shel asarim hanal. And so when a person fasts, this in a sense is the subjugation of these three ministers of Pharaoh, meaning the three different types of temptations. What did we have? We had eating, we had drinking, and I didn't see what the third one is here. They're both eating and drinking. It just says eating and drinking. So I guess two types of eating or two types of drinking, and one of the other. So when we fast, we break this desire. Ki hi ha'efech itkabrutam, because fasting is the opposite of the control of the negative energy over our desires. Haba mikoach ta'avat achila, which comes from the power of the desire for eating. V'hu b'chinat dveikut achorei hakadusha. And this is connected to the aspect of making connection of the behind to the front of the Kedusha. Meaning, you have this desire, you want to break this desire. You know that it's not good for you. And the way that you do it is, in a sense, fasting. Fasting is the example for how to break the desire when it comes to eating. Because a person knows if they're eating something that they shouldn't be eating, on whatever level it is. So a person could say, I'm not going to eat anything that's not Chalav Yisrael, only Chalav Yisrael. And then they eat something that's Chalav Nochi. Not necessarily by mistake, because a lot of things here in Israel, they were Chalav Yisrael, and all of a sudden you discover they're Chalav Nochi. But you see, like Reese's Pieces or whatever, Reese's Cups. And you say, I love that. I remember when I was a kid, and I really want to eat a Reese's Cup, but I made a decision that I'm only eating Chalav Yisrael. So you tell yourself, okay, you ate it and you've been eating it, and what you're doing besides feeling bad because you made a promise to yourself and you broke it, is you're essentially giving energy to the klipot, to the negative energy. And it's coming from a place of Kedusha. What is the Kedusha? The Kedusha is that you're a Jew, and you're a Jew that keeps Torah mitzvot, and you're a Jew that keeps kosher, and you're a Jew that made a decision not to eat a certain thing, but then you're eating it anyway. And that because you as a Jew are Kodesh, you are holy, when you eat something that you are not supposed to eat, or you said that you weren't going to eat, your holiness is being now given over to the negative energy. You want to ask a question? Or just move it around? Okay.
No, I'm just moving around. Sorry.
It's fine, move around all you want. So a person says, I'm not going to eat this certain food, like for example, Chalav Nochi, and then a person eats Chalav Nochi, that's giving the negative energy. So how do you stop it? You say, I'm stopping right now to eat Chalav Nochi. I'm not going to eat this anymore. I made a decision that's not good for me, and I'm going to stop. So that, in a sense, is a fast. Now, a fast is an absolute fast. I mean, we have fasts coming up. We have Yom Kippur, and we have the fast of Gedalia after Rosh Hashanah. And these are fasts when you literally don't eat. And you get to a certain point where, at some point in the day, that you don't want to eat at all. It just doesn't bother you anymore. You get past that hunger, and now you're beyond that. And he's saying that gives you the control to break the desire that the negative energy is using to control you. Ki ikar zchut ha'ta'anit eino ela she'anu choshvim hasha'ot shehitchil lihitanot. So the main aspect of fast, so let's say a person started fasting, and now they're 1 hour into the fast. It's true that technically you're fasting, but you're not really fasting because you just ate a whole meal. So it's true that you're an hour into a fast, but when you're on the second day of a fast, or 20 hours into a fast, then the fast has more power than in the beginning. Okay, that's what he says right here. למשל, כשמתענה שני ימים, היום השני הוא נחשב ביותר. For example, when a person fasts for 2 days, then the second day of the fast is considered more than the first day. מחימת עצמו של יום השני, because of the essence or the power of the second day. אלא מחמת שאנו חוזרים ליום ראשון, שאז נחשב יום שני בזכות יותר. But it's only because we had the first day that the second day is considered more. הקושי הגדול שיש בתענית ביום השני, the difficulty of fasting on the second day, הוא מפני שהתענית גם ביום ראשון. It's because the person fasted on the first day, and then it follows that, okay, so you get the idea that the importance of the second day has its meaning because a person fasted on the first day. Now he's going to explain. גם כי עיקר קושי כל הדברים בפרט בעבודת Hashem, and so it is also this main difficulty in all the things that we do in our service of Hashem. So meaning all the mitzvot that a person does, the ones that are difficult for a person to do, they are just like fasting for 2 days. Hein ha'atchala, they are in the beginning. Ki kol ha'atchalot kashot. Because every time you start something new, it's difficult. Mechimat sheyotzei b'sha'at atchala mehefech lehefech. Because at the beginning, when you start to make this change, you're doing the opposite of what you wanted to do. So if I just take the simple example of chalav nochri and chalav Yisrael. A person says, I'm only eating this hechsher, I'm not eating that hechsher. And up until 1 minute ago, they were eating chalav nochri. And now they decided they're only eating chalav Yisrael. So the first day is going to be very hard, because the next day is going to come, you're going to see the thing that made you want to break your promise to yourself before. But by the time the second day comes, and the third day comes, and the 20th day comes, and 1 year passes, and 5 years passes, it's not going to be hard anymore. And so it is with everything that we do in our service of Hashem. Everything is difficult in the beginning when we make a decision that we're going to do something. Can I have the water, please? So a person says, on Shabbos, I'm going to go to shul, and I'm going to say every word of the davening. I don't have any excuses, because during the week I have to get to work, or I have to take care of all kinds of things. But on Shabbos, I don't have that. By the way, it says in the Shulchan Aruch that a business person who needs to rush to work in the morning and doesn't have time to daven properly should lead the davening on Shabbos, so that they're kind of showing to Hashem, yes, during the week I'm stressed with my business matters, but on Shabbos I don't have that, so I'm going to show you that I'm going to take my time and daven properly. So I guarantee you the second you make a decision like that, it's going to be very difficult. Because kol ha'atchalot kashot, because all of the things as you start are difficult. Mechimat sheyotzei b'sha'at ha'atchala mehefech lehefech, because in the beginning you're doing the complete opposite of what you were doing before. Aval achar atchala hu nichnas me'at behergel, but after the beginning a person gets kind of used to this, they get into the habit. Shvirat ta'avot ha'achila, they break the desire for eating the things that they shouldn't be eating. Ve'ino kasher alav kol kach, and it's not so hard for the person. V'chein b'chol yom v'yom u'olech me'achok me'atchala, and every day the person goes 1 day further away from where they were at the beginning. So everybody's experienced this. V'ken nikal adavar, and so it becomes easier. Shenichnas me'at behergel le'achol pachot, when the person gets used to, for example, eating less. Nimtza she'ikar koach ha'avodah shel kol hayamim sheyavo achar kach, and so it follows that the main power of the service, of the work that comes from the days that follow afterwards, eino ela atchala shemisham yonkim et kol kocham. It's nothing but the beginning from which we're drawing our sustenance. So let's take the example of a person that wants to run 5 kilometers or wants to run the whole marathon. So they start off running 100 meters. They run 500 meters, they run 1 kilometer. And when they get to 5 kilometers, the only reason they got to 5 kilometers is they're drawing their sustenance, their power, from the first 100 meters that they ran. Because if nobody's going to start off running 5 kilometers unless they're in incredible shape. And so each time that you made progress, the progress was made from that beginning. She'anu tzrichim nachzor la'acharei liyom rishon. We have to return backwards to the first day, that when we began and understood, and we began to fast, that this is the beginning of doing tshuva. Ta'aniti b'chinat tshuva. Fasting is an aspect of doing tshuva, but the fasting doesn't have to be literal fasting. It could be fasting from media. It could be fasting from sports. It could be fasting from any negative thing, like anything that's okay, but then turns into a negative thing. That's when it becomes a problem. And what we're saying is that when you fall into that desire, you're giving power to the negative energy. And what are the two tikkunim that we're trying to do? There are two fixings that we're trying to bring to our faith, so that when we eat and we can elevate the food and create this unification between Hashem's energy in this world and Hashem's energy outside of the world. And we do that by breaking our desires. The first one is we do that by knowing how to answer the heretic. And the second one we do by breaking our desires. These two things cut off the life force for the negative energy, and then allows us to affect the world. Whenever a person does tshuva, it's difficult in the beginning, because a person went from one opposite to the other. And every day they go back to where they were. You're receiving energy from the beginning. I guess in the same way, if a person were to invest money, you know the idea of compound interest. So I don't know if there's anything actually in the world that works with compound interest. I guess reinvesting your money. So you start off with $1, the next day you get $2, the next day is $4, and every time it doubles. That's the idea of compound interest. So in a sense, that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying here. You started off the first day breaking your desire. The second day it's worth twice as much. The third day it's worth 4 times as much. And the fifth day 8 times as much. And it keeps growing and growing. Because the more you grow from that original place, the stronger you get. And the more you create this connection between the Shekhinah, Hashem's energy in this world, and the Kuchabrichu, Hashem's energy surrounding this world. Mechamat elu hasarim shel Paro, Kaneh, Veshet, Vridim Hanal. And these 3 desires, which are connected to the ministers of Pharaoh, which are the windpipe, the esophagus, and the veins, as mentioned above, and smuchim ledibur, they're connected to speech. Mitgabrim mechimat ta'avat achila shel ha'adam, and when a person overcomes the desire for eating something, azai hem mamshichim et hadibur legalut Mitzrayim. Legalut Mitzrayim. Yeah, that they draw out the speech from the exile of Egypt. And of course, Meitzarim is the narrow straits. This is considered the narrow straits, the place where the head is larger, the body is larger, and this very narrow space is the neck. And that's Meitzar Garon. That's the narrow place of the throat. Hagaron umakom tsar leumat haguf v'harosh. The throat or the neck is a narrow place compared to the head and the body. V'lachen neomaz b'shem Meitzarim, and that's what's hinted at in the word Mitzrayim or Meitzarim, narrow straits. B'chinat ma'amar, David, as David said, okay, so now he's bringing a text proof of this. Eino yachol daber shum dibur lefnei Hashem yitbarach. I'm not able to say anything before Hashem. Ve'al yedei ha'ta'anit she'mar'iv et atzmo, and through fasting, when a person causes themselves to not eat, ad shegoem yichud acho ba'acho, until they cause this unification of behind with behind, ba'ofen she'ein hadinim v'agvorot sarei paro v'paro, in such a way that the judgments and the stringencies, the negative energy, yecholim nin'ok me'akdusha klal, are not able to draw sustenance from the holiness at all. Azai mitgaber achesed, and then the positive energy can overcome the negative energy. V'hainu b'chinat mayim, so gvura, which is stringency, which is strictness, that's connected to Ra'am. Ra'am is thunder. And what happens after there's thunder? Then there's normally rain. Rain is considered, mayim is called chesed. Water is called chesed. And why is water kindness or compassion chesed? Because it's distributed equally to everyone. You'll see when it rains, the rain lands everywhere equally. It doesn't make judgments. B'chach u'mamshich mimei hachasadim lech hagaron va'az yuchal deber. And then through, so in a sense, if we were to summarize it, breaking a person's desires, it brings about water of kindness or chesed into a person's throat, which brings moisture to the throat, and then it allows a person to speak. Okay, so we're going to continue that next week. There's a little summary over here. Let's see if we got there. No, I think we'll read this next week. All right? Yeah, we didn't get to this week. What?
Well, I was at where we got to.
Where did we get to? We're over here. 1 page away, not far away. You can look at the page number and then you'll know when you get home. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a short story. Is that the Shem? Anyone have any questions? Do you have any questions, Koch?
No.
Okay. So this is a story I was about to record for my podcast, and I have a way of checking to see if I recorded the stories. Turns out that I recorded the story 3 years ago. It's a good story, so I figure I'll tell it here again. You understand what we're saying in the lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just
So-
going to say, though, that
Yeah.
they've never been to Oklahoma, because in Oklahoma it could be raining on one side of the street, on the other side.
Okay, so even then, that side of the street, it's all even. And snow, I think snow is considered gvura already. But maybe because it's frozen, I'm not exactly sure. But when it rains, it's considered chesed and a type of kindness. It's normally a good sign. Okay, Rabbi Shvi Hirsch of Chorkov, who was, it turns out there was a Chorkov dynasty of Hasidim. I looked it up a little bit. They were originally in Poland and then in Ukraine. So he was one of the rabbis, one of the rebbes, and he had a daughter that he knew that he would be able to marry her off at some point. So already when she was younger, he started putting aside money for the wedding. And I have such a hard time putting aside money for the wedding for my kids. Every time I put the money aside, I have to spend it on something else. Zot Hashem should send all the money for all the weddings and everybody's weddings and everybody what they need. Zot Hashem. So he started setting aside money, and he eventually set aside 500 gold ducats, and that's, I guess we could consider that 500 bitcoins in today's terms. So quite a lot of money. That'd be more than enough to marry off his daughter. But here, that'd be like, I don't know, a few hundreds of millions of dollars probably. And he put this money in a drawer, and he wouldn't touch it. He knew that the money was there. It was in a locked drawer, and only once a year would he check, Erev Pesach, because he had to check and see if there was any chametz in there. So one year, Erev Pesach, he goes to check his drawer, and he sees that the money is gone. And he's shocked. And he says to the staff in his house, does anybody know where's the money? And somebody said, you had this assistant years ago whose name was Mayor Amshel. And Mayor Amshel, he moved, he got married, and he started a business, and he's very successful in business. And he probably stole the money from you, and that's why he's successful in business. So, first of all, he's upset. He thinks that the family is speaking Lashon Hara. They're speaking slander about his former attendant, his assistant. But he can't figure out where the money went to. And so he has no choice. He travels to Mayor Amshel to hint to him maybe he knows where the money is. And of course, when he walks into Mayor Amshel's store, he's very excited to see the rabbi come and gives him all the honor and all the respect that he deserves. And at some point, the rabbi says to him, Mayor Amshel, I had this 500 gold ducats in a drawer, and it's missing. And the people in my house think that maybe you borrowed it in order to start your business. And he said, they're right. I borrowed the money. I planned on giving it back, but I haven't had a chance yet. He opens up his cash drawer and he gives him 200 gold ducats. He says, this is what I have for now, and I'll return the rest to you as soon as I can. So now the rabbi comes back home, and he's quite happy that he got his money back. His family didn't speak slander. He forgave Meir Amshel. He says, no problem, the money will be paid back. But that wasn't the real story, because one of the maids was cleaning the house, and she knew that this drawer was locked, and so she got a key, or she made some type of, pick, and picked the lock, and she sees the 500 gold ducats, and she takes them, and she brings it home and shows it to her husband. And he was really happy with her. And he tells her, we're going to hide it in the backyard, we're going to give it a few months, and then I can start spending the money. And so he started spending the money. He went to the pub, to the tavern, and he ordered all these drinks, and the tavern owner says, no, how are you going to pay for this? And he plops a gold coin on the table. He says, I'm paying for all of this and paying for everyone here. So now everybody was his friend. The next night he does the same thing. The night after he does the same thing. And now the innkeeper, the tavern keeper, he knows that something is off, because this guy, he's poor, he doesn't have any money. And obviously he's got some stolen money. So he tells the Puritz. And the Puritz says, get him drunk, completely drunk, let him drink as much as he wants, and then ask him where the money is from. Because as we know, nichnas yain yotzei sod, when a person drinks, the secrets come out. So they got him drunk, and they said, no, where's the money from? He said, my wife stole it from the Jew. And they said, where is it? He said, it's hidden in the backyard. They go and they dig it up, and the Puritz takes the money. So now the Puritz calls the rabbi. And the rabbi is very scared, because he thinks that, who knows what the Puritz wants from him. Better to not be, as they said in Fiddler on the Roof, keep the czar far from here. Keep the Puritz far from here. So he comes, he's very nervous. And the Puritz says, Rabbi, tell me, how many children do you have? He tells him how many children. He says, you have a daughter that you're planning on marrying? He says, yes, Bezat Hashem. He said, and how are you planning on paying for the wedding? He said, well, actually I had 500 gold ducats and somebody stole them. Somebody returned 200 of them for now. And he said, Rabbi, I have your money. And he said, it's missing a few. It's mostly there, 496 gold ducats. And he gives him the money. So now the rabbi understands that this Meir Amshel didn't steal the money. So he goes back to him and he says, I know you didn't take the money. What did you do? He said, Rabbi, I knew if I told you that I didn't take the money, you would be so distressed, you would be so upset, and I didn't want to cause you that pain, and I didn't know if you would ever recover the money. But I figured, I'm okay in business, I'll give you everything, and Hashem will help me. So the rabbi gave him back, of course, his 200 gold ducats, and the rabbi gave him this blessing that the gates of heaven should open for him, and he should always have parnasa and riches, and be able to give for many generations to come. And this Meir Amshel grew up to be very wealthy, because he was the founder of the dynasty of magnates and bankers of the house of Rothschild, the Rothschild family. This is the story of the beginning of the Rothschild family's great wealth, was this act of kindness for the rabbi, and the rabbi's blessing afterwards. So Bezat Hashem, in the merit, the story, we should all be blessed with health, wealth, wisdom, and Torah. Bezat Hashem. And we'll continue learning next week, God willing. We're not yet in any holidays. I'm sure when Tishrei comes, everything's going to be on a Tuesday, or Motzei Tuesday. That's what happening this year. We'll continue next week, Bezat Hashem.